Greetings, young scientists. This is Mr. Overall with the Winston Center for Forsyth County School Science Department. Today we're going to be learning about convection. Convection has to do with heat transfer within a fluid. Fluids are liquids and gases. Why are they both fluids? Well, some of the properties are very similar. They both take the shape of their container. Have you ever blown up a water balloon? You put a liquid in there and it fills it up and it takes the shape of the balloon. If you've blown up a balloon with the gas from your lungs, you also have noticed that that gas is now taking the shape of its container. They both flow and move. They both react to heat similarly. That's why scientists call them both fluids. Today we're going to be looking and seeing how heat is transferring within that fluid. We're going to be using water today because it's easier for us to see that. First thing we have is we have a container of warm water. And we have a container of cold water. Thirdly, we have a container that has room temperature water. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a few temperatures here first. So, as I take my temperature, my warm water is at 101 degrees. My cold water is at 49 degrees, almost 50 degrees. And my room temperature water is at 67.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, we're going to take and we're going to set the room temperature water container on top of the two other containers. So I've got a hot side and a cold side. We're going to observe what happens. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put red food coloring on the hot side, and I'm going to put blue food coloring on the cold side. And we're going to observe and see what happens. Are you ready? Before we do that, let's go ahead and make a prediction. What's going to happen to the water as I put the colors in there? What do you think is going to happen? Let's go ahead and make a drawing of what this is. So I've got one container. We can draw a small square on one side, and another container. We're going to put another small square next to that one. Let's label one. Hot water, about 100 degrees. Cold water, about 50 degrees. And then we'll put a large rectangle sitting on top of them. That will be our room temperature water. And that's about 70 degrees. Just put some approximations in there, some about numbers. What we're going to do is then you're going to figure out, we're going to draw what happens as we put this on there. We should see something pretty neat. Stay tuned. All right, scientists, we're going to go ahead and put this on and see and observe how convection is happening. I'm going to take this container of room temperature water and place it on top of the two containers here. I've got my red food coloring on this side, and I'm going to have my blue food coloring on the cold side. We're going to go ahead and place the two in here and put about the same amount of water in them both. And I'm going to get out of the way. As you are observing right now, you're seeing that the red and the blue look very similar. Let's start to see what happens in the direction that the two are moving. I noticed that where we drop the water, the red and the blue both drop to the bottom. If we're watching carefully, I'm starting to see the red is higher than the blue. Over all the way on the red side, you're starting to see the red is rising up. Let's keep watching. So let's speed things up here. The next 25 seconds is actually about 4 minutes of runtime as you watch this happening. So keep in mind what the colors are doing, how they are moving, and it's going to help us understand convection. As we observe what this was, on the hot side, the water rose, heat rises. On the cold side, the blue water sunk down to the bottom, cold sinks. What they're really doing is the cold is taking the place of where the warm water has left. So the water, I'm holding this towel up here so it's easier for you to see, but the water on this side, no matter if it is clear, red, or blue, or green, or whatever color, the warm water will rise because this is my heat source. I've got a heat source and it's being transferring from there to here. So my warm side is rising. The cold side is sinking, and when it does, is it's going, when the warm water leaves, something has to take its place. So as it rises, the cold water comes in and takes its place. The warm water then has to move because the cold has left, so it starts to come over here. It gets to this side and it starts to cool down. What does cold water do? Cold water sinks. That warm water, there's a constant cycle of rising and sinking, rising and sinking. Heat energy is being transferred at all times in water and in the air. That's why it's very difficult for us to predict weather, because the heating and the cooling of different types of matter are changing. Solids heat up one way, gases heat up one way, liquids heat up one way. They all have a little bit different properties, so it makes it difficult to do. So as we learn this, we start talking about things, we learn that hot air rises and cold air sinks, hot water rises and cold water sinks, and they kind of swirl into a convection cell or convection cycle that causes it to continue to move. Remember, all things happen because of a heat source. Wherever the heat source is, that is where our heat is starting, and it will be transferred someplace else. Thank you for watching. Remember, we do science well.